Mary, come and help me with the soup. Mama Chiri called, her voice filled with urgency. Mary sighed, setting her drink aside, and made her way into the bustling kitchen. As she stirred the pot of egusi soup her mother was cooking, she couldn't help but feel a familiar sense of unease. At 32, she was the only one of her siblings who was still unmarried, a fact that her family never failed to remind her of at every gathering. Her sisters, Nkechi and Ifoma, were both happily married with children, and her younger brother Chidi had recently gotten engaged. You know, Mary, her mother began, her voice lowering. It is high time you found a good husband. We are not getting any younger, and I want to see you settled with a family of your own. Mary forced a smile, trying to ignore the tightening in her chest. I know, Mama. I'm trying my best. But you know that husbands, especially good husbands, don't fall from a tree. Well, trying is not enough, her mother continued, her eyes narrowing. You need to put yourself out there. Join a church group, attend weddings, and make yourself available now. Mary nodded, feeling the familiar pressure weighing down on her shoulders. She knew her mother meant well, but the constant reminders only added to her anxiety. She had been on countless dates, each more disappointing than the last. It seemed like finding a good man in today's world was an impossible task. The following week, Mary received an unexpected visit from Aunty Ngozi, her mother's younger sister and the self-proclaimed family matchmaker. Aunty Ngozi was known for her meddling ways, always eager to set up singles in the family with suitable partners. Mary, my dear, Aunty Ngozi exclaimed as she settled into the living room. I have found the perfect match for you. Mary groaned inwardly, bracing herself for another disastrous setup. Really, Auntie? Who is it this time? His name is Chuka, and he is a successful engineer from a good family, Aunty Ngozi said, her eyes shining with excitement. I met him at the church convention last month. He is tall, handsome, and very well-mannered. Mary listened politely as Aunty Ngozi rattled off about Chuka, trying to muster some enthusiasm. She had heard this speech too many times before, each time leading to a date that ended in disappointment. All right, Auntie, Mary said. I will meet him. The following Saturday, Mary found herself seated at a cozy restaurant in town, waiting for Chuka to arrive. She fidgeted with her dress, smoothing out imaginary wrinkles, and took a deep breath to calm her nerves. When Chuka finally walked in, Mary was pleasantly surprised. He was indeed tall and well-dressed, with a warm smile that put her at ease immediately. They exchanged pleasantries and settled into an easy conversation over jollof rice and suya. So, Mary, Chuka began, what do you do for a living? I work as a nurse at the university teaching hospital, she replied. It's challenging, but a fulfilling work. Chuka nodded, feeling impressed. That's wonderful. I have a lot of respect for healthcare workers. As the evening progressed, Mary found herself enjoying Chuka's company more than she had anticipated. He was intelligent, respectful, and shared her love for traditional Nigerian music. For the first time in a long time, Mary felt a glimmer of hope. Over the next few weeks, Mary and Chuka continued to see each other. They attended church services together, went for long walks in the park, and shared countless conversations about their dreams and aspirations. She felt herself slowly opening up to the possibility of love. One afternoon, As they strolled through the bustling markets, Chuka turned to her with a serious expression. Mary, I know we haven't known each other for a long time, but I feel a strong connection to you. I believe we have something special. Mary's heart skips a beat. She had been cautious, guarding her heart against disappointment, but Chuka's sincerity was undeniable. I feel the same way, Chuka. I've really enjoyed getting to know you, and I look forward to seeing where this leads. Their relationship blossomed, much to the delight of Aunty Ngozi and Mama Chinyere. Mary's family welcomed Chuka with open arms, impressed by his humility and strong work ethic. It wasn't long before whispers of wedding plans began to circulate. As wedding preparations went into full swing, Mary began to notice unsettling changes in Chuka's behavior. His once charming demeanor had given way to bouts of irritation and arrogance. He started talking down on people around him, including Mary herself, and his on and off messages left her confused and anxious. One evening, after a family gathering, Chuka made a snide comment about her family. You know what, Mary? Your family is really backward. They should learn to be more modern like me. Mary was taken aback. Chuka, that's not fair. They are just traditional. Traditional? More like stuck in the past, he said, rolling his eyes. Mary felt a pang of doubt. Was this the same man she had just fallen for? The signs of his true nature were becoming more apparent, and she couldn't ignore them any longer. During their arguments, Chuka often belittled her, calling her a nag and sometimes threatening her with his words. You keep pushing me, Mary. Sometimes I feel like slapping some sense into you, he would say. Though he never acted on his threats, his words left Mary shaking and filled with doubts about their future together. The traditional wedding preparations were underway, but Mary confided in her mother, seeking her advice. Mama, I'm not sure about this marriage anymore, Mary admitted, tears in her eyes. Chuka has changed, and I'm scared of what he might do. Mama Chinyere sighed, her face etched with concern. Mary, every marriage has its challenges. Sometimes you just have to manage. You can't call off a wedding now. The invitations are already sent out. Mary felt trapped between her mother's expectations and her own fears. But deep down, she knew she couldn't marry someone who threatened her safety and belittled her family. The day of the traditional wedding arrived, and Mary was a bundle of nerves. She stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her beautiful lace gown, but her heart was heavy with doubts. As the guests poured into the courtyard, the sounds of drums filled the air. Mary tried to put on a brave face, but her mind kept replaying Chuka's harsh words and threatening demeanor. Inside the house, as Mary was getting dressed, a disagreement erupted between her and Chuka. He insisted that Mary wear the coral beads his mother had sent from the first outing, despite the fact that she had already coordinated her own beads to match her dress. Chuka, I've already chosen my beads now, Mary explained patiently. They go perfectly with my own outfits. Those beads are important to my mother, Chuka insisted, his tone sharp. You should wear them for your first outfit. They go perfectly, and I'm saying so. At least wear them out of respect. But Chuka, Mary started, but Chuka cut her off. Can you stop being difficult, Mary? He snapped, his frustration boiling over. In the moment of anger, Chuka slapped her, the sound echoing in the room. Mary's eyes widened in shock as she held her cheek, tears springing to her eyes. Chuka immediately looked remorseful. Mary, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. You just push me to the wall sometimes. But you know I love you. Mary felt a surge of anger and fear. She knew she couldn't continue this charade any longer. With her heart pounding and her mind racing, she stepped out of the room, her decision made. As she walked into the courtyard, the sound of drums faded into the background. Taking a deep breath, she turned to face the guests, her voice loud and clear. Ladies and gentlemen, I have something to say, Mary announced, her voice steady, despite the tremor in her heart. This man, she pointed at Chuka, is not who he pretends to be. He is abusive and arrogant, and I refuse to marry him. Gasps erupted from the guests, and Mama Chire looked on in disbelief as Mary continued. I will not be pressured into marrying the wrong man. I deserve better, and I refuse to live in fear. Auntie Ngozi's eyes widened, and she began to sputter. Mary, think about what you're doing. I have thought about it, Auntie, Mary replied firmly, and I choose to be free and happy, rather than trapped in a marriage with a man who disrespects me and my family. With that, Mary tore off her gele and stormed out of the courtyard, leaving Chuka standing there, humiliated and speechless. Despite the initial disapproval from her mother, Mama Chire eventually came to see the strength in Mary's decision. One afternoon, as they sat together on the veranda, Mama Chire gently took Mary's hand. You know, Mary, I was worried for you, Mama Chire admitted. I wanted you to be happy, but I see now that happiness cannot be forced. You showed a lot of courage, and I am proud of you. Mary squeezed her mother's hand, a smile spreading across her face. Thank you, Mama. I just couldn't go through with it, knowing what I know now. Mary had learned the importance of being true to herself and setting boundaries, lessons she carried through her new chapter of her life. She knew that her worth was not determined by societal expectations or family pressures, but by her own values and dreams. As she stood on the veranda one evening, watching the sun dip below the horizon, Mary felt a profound sense of peace. She had taken control of her destiny, and in doing so, had opened the door to a future filled with hope and endless possibilities.